How to be a lot more interesting. Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions in life? Not fully present or engaged in the moment? We've all been there, feeling uninspired, boring, or like we have nothing interesting to contribute. But the good news is, being interesting is a skill we can cultivate. In this video, I'll share 7 keys to being a more intriguing, compelling person that others want to be around and get to know. We'll look at how to spark curiosity, tell better stories, open your mind, and ultimately, how to show up as the most authentic, captivating version of yourself. Buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll have plenty of takeaways to start stepping into your most interesting self yet. Be present. We've all had conversations with Debbie Downers, you know. Those folks who make you want to slink away to the snack table for some mini quiches. But on the flip side, we've also had invigorating conversations that make time fly by. What's the difference? Presence. Being present simply means being fully engaged in the moment. When you're talking to someone, you're tuned in to what they are saying, picking up on cues in their body language, and responding thoughtfully. You aren't distracted by your phone, the waiter walking by, or daydreaming about your next vacation. Now, staying present can be challenging in our fast-paced, technocentric world. Our attention spans have shrunk to that of a goldfish, which makes meaningful connection difficult. That's why building your presence muscles through mindfulness practices like meditation can be so beneficial. Start small. Next time you're in a conversation, make it your goal to be fully attentive to the other person for at least 5 minutes straight. No multitasking or letting your mind wander. You'll be surprised by how much more you absorb. Being present not only improves your interactions, but it makes ordinary moments feel extraordinary. Like when you're eating your favorite food, take time to really savor each bite. Or on your walk to work, notice the sights, sounds, and smells around you. Life becomes much more vibrant and interesting when we immerse ourselves in it, instead of just sleepwalking through on autopilot. So challenge yourself to be fully in the now. I guarantee you'll have a lot more intriguing observations and stories to share as a result. Open your mind. Imagine you're at a cocktail party, chatting it up with the host's friends. One woman insists in full confidence that dolphins are fish. Do you A. Get into a heated debate about how dolphins are mammals, not fish? B. Politely nod and say, interesting perspective, before changing the subject. If you chose A, you might want to rethink that strategy. As tempting as it is to, someone, being combative and closed-minded is a surefire way to kill interesting conversation. Instead, try embracing a beginner's mindset. This means being open to learning, even if it challenges your current beliefs. Don't reject ideas outright just because they seem unlikely on the surface. For example, when a friend insists the ideal steak doneness is well done, resist the urge to recoil in horror. Instead, ask questions to understand their perspective. Maybe they've had bad experiences with undercooked meat. Getting insight into different viewpoints expands your thinking and makes you a more engaging conversationalist. A beginner's mindset also means seeking out new knowledge proactively. Read books outside your typical genres, listen to thought leaders with opposing ideologies, visit museums to learn about unfamiliar cultures. Exposing yourself to different paradigms gets your mental juices flowing, so you'll always have fresh observations to share. Having an open, curious mind doesn't mean you have to adopt every new viewpoint you encounter. But being willing to entertain different ideas makes you more nimble and interesting thinker. Know stuff. Quick pop quiz. What's the capital of Australia? Did you know it offhand? If not, no worries, but learning new facts and information can make you a more interesting person to be around. Being knowledgeable about the world is attractive to others for several reasons. You can engage in deeper conversation, instead of just sticking to surface-level small talk. You seem cultured and well-rounded, not ignorant. People admire and look up to those with insight to share. Now, you don't have to become an encyclopedia of random trivia. But making an effort to regularly learn new things will set you apart. Start by keeping up with current events, read the news, listen to podcasts, watch documentaries. Get a general handle on what's happening around the globe. Beyond that, dig into topics that intrigue you. Become an expert on ancient Rome, ocean life, impressionist art, whatever sparks your curiosity. Use your interests as gateways to gain knowledge. Learning for the sake of self-improvement also benefits your mind. As the old saying goes, use it or lose it. Exercising your brain prevents mental atrophy. And here's a helpful tip. Curate some interesting facts and conversation starters ahead of time, like go-to jokes or unusual stories about yourself. That way, if you end up in sticky conversation, you'll have material to pull from. A little preparation goes a long way. Have opinions. Picture this. You and your date are trying to decide on a restaurant. They suggest sushi, to which you reply, "Oh, anywhere is fine with me, I don't really care." Does this indifferent response make you seem easygoing or aloof? Unfortunately, probably the latter. Having opinions, perspectives, and preferences and sharing them makes you a more dynamic, thoughtful person. I'm not suggesting being dogmatic about your views or looking to debate them endlessly. But part of being interesting is bringing your unique pav to the table. For instance, when my friend asks for book recommendations, instead of just reiterating the New York Times bestseller list, I share under the radar titles I loved and why they resonated with me. Voicing opinions shows you've put consideration into your beliefs and can back them up. It also gives people insight into who you are as an individual. Now, what if you're normally conflict avoidant and keep mum to sidestep confrontation? Or worry your perspectives might seem offbeat and get judged? Start small by voicing low-stakes opinions. I think mint chocolate chip is the most underrated ice cream flavor, or paper straws make the drink taste weird. As you get comfortable, work up to more substantive stances. At the end of the day, we're all entitled to think for ourselves. So don't be afraid to color outside the lines and embrace your inner critic. It's what makes you a truly one-of-a-kind person to interact with. Tell stories. Legendary director Akira Kurosawa put it best, to be an artist means never to avert one's eyes. What he's getting at is the importance of observing life intently so you can reflect it through your art. This holds true for storytelling. The most compelling storytellers pay close attention to details, getting to the essence of not just what happened, but what it felt like, sounded like, even smelled like. By recounting experiences vividly, you transport listeners right into a shared moment with you. Suddenly they're invested, hanging on to every descriptive word. Their emotions mirror yours as the story builds. So sharpen your skills by re-examining formative memories and recent events. How can you paint those "you had to be there" moments with emotional color? Some techniques to try. Set the scene using sensorial language. For example, the smell of salty air as the boat pulled away from shore. Zoom in on the most scintillating details. With shaking hands, I inserted the key into the ancient iron lock. Use pacing strategically. Draw out suspense, then accelerate through exciting moments. Share honest reactions and feelings to evoke empathy. Getting fired felt like the ultimate public humiliation. With practice, you can turn meaningless anecdotes into enthralling sagas. Soon, friends will be saying, "You always have the best stories," and clamoring for more. Be authentic. At this point, you might be thinking, "Well, I'm just not that worldly or witty or whatever." Here's the good news: you don't have to be. What makes someone truly magnetic isn't a laundry list of impressive qualities, it's authenticity. At our core, we crave real human connection, and that means being vulnerable and unafraid to just be yourself. My friend Ari is the perfect example of this. He's not the most cultured guy and he certainly doesn't know what's happening in the news. But he wins people over by being utterly genuine. He'll freely admit when he doesn't know something. He'll poke fun at his own quirks and insecurities. He'll geek out unabashedly about birdwatching rather than feign interest in what's cool. There's power in that radical honesty. Being transparent about who you are invites others to do the same, forging an instant bond. So take off the mask. The real you, imperfections and all, is infinitely more intriguing than any facade. The right people will be drawn to your light. And if you're thinking, "But I don't even know who the real me is," then lucky you, you now get to go on an interesting journey of self-discovery. There are as many ways to be interesting as there are people in the world. So take the pressure off trying to transform into someone you're not. Instead, focus on being the best version of you. Carve out time for what captivates you. Speak your truth, unconventional as it may be. Own all that you are unabashedly. When you're fulfilled from within, you'll naturally exude magnetism and brilliance. Your inherent awesomeness will shine through. So try out some of the tips we went over today. Be present, stay curious, tell stories. Most importantly, stay true to yourself. Here's to a life lived interestingly after all.